Hey, and welcome to IMO, in my opinion, with J and M. John, what's going on, man? How are you?
I've got nothing today.
And that's the end of the show. I'm glad we set
sorry.
this whole little
I'm
thing
sorry.
up for
I
nothing.
didn't have coffee. I don't know.
Now to you, Delilah.
I'm great. Just got off a shift, so I feel great.
Where do you work at?
Lowe's.
How do you like it?
It's great. I love it.
You're full of shit. You were complaining all fucking day.
Yeah, but they fixed their mistake, so I'm good now. And I told you it was a mistake.
Watch how it's going to happen.
Small.
No.
It's going to
It
happen
wasn't
a hell of a
small.
lot
She
more
was ready to
times.
quit.
They were trying to put me in some ridiculous position that I don't want to go to. Period.
Like I said, so some guy shit on the floor and she didn't want to clean it.
They wouldn't do that to me.
That's a different story. But
You're the people that they send in there, the newbies.
No, I'm a cashier. Anything beyond being at the register is not my duty.
I'll argue with you because I worked in retail for a lot of years, and that's not necessarily the case. And their defense, which is going to be completely right, is you work for a company. So
yeah,
whatever they
ask
you to do,
I just told you that I went to talk to them about putting me in the wrong position, and they
you
said I was right.
you probably talked to the right manager to give you that answer, but
I would.
Not every manager's gonna feel that way.
I'd read my job description, and in there it probably states that they can send you into a bathroom to clean up shit spatter from the floor.
They have janitors for that.
Who knows about that one? I think that's a bit much, but like if they pulled you from cashiering to go unload a truck, I'm pretty sure they're within their right to.
Because they have loaders. They have people who that's their specific job.
Yeah,
correct. But
those
when they
people
need
call
something,
off a lot.
When they need something, they need.
not
you're
my
on
problem.
deck.
No.
Yeah, that's what kind of happens.
That's the way it is.
I think you just don't like to work.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
There you go. Reminds me of me when I was younger.
Yes.
When you were younger. I mean, you now.
What website are you trying to put yourself on? You were saying
I'm
You're
not gonna expose myself like that.
Something about getting a lot of sugar in your system or something. Sugar daddy type thing.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know. I really don't know.
So much for women being independent and doing all
Shut
this stuff,
up!
right?
Shut
so much
up.
for that, huh?
No.
All that fighting that women did for equal rights and all that goes out the window.
Shut up.
With the women that don't want to work. Whatever. Yeah. So, John, what would you like to talk about, man? Let's go there. Let's start off with you.
What would I like to talk about?
Sure.
What's on the news right now?
Seriously?
The Breonna Taylor thing?
I was trying to avoid that, but okay, whatever. Yeah, that's on the news. That's kind of front page news right now.
Well, she wanted to talk about it more than...
No,
yeah, you did.
No, I didn't.
It's front page news. Every news channel's talking about that. What do you think? What's your honest opinion on this indictment and what was said and what was presented?
Well, at this point, I don't know what to believe anymore. Like, God, I don't know. At first, the news made it seem like it was just like cops barged into somebody's house and shot somebody that was sleeping or something like that. I didn't pay much attention to it when it first came out. And then now we've obviously got the facts of the case, and it sheds a different light on it. I think they got it right. It was like, I'm
I don't know.
Delilah.
being
I don't
honest with
think-
you.
I said this to you guys before. I don't think they got it right. I don't see how they got to that conclusion when all the witnesses are saying a different thing. And there's no body cam footage. So I can't trust what they're saying at all.
While
I
I'm
don't
with
trust
you
what they're
there,
saying at all.
anytime you have to serve a warrant, I think you should have a body cam on.
I could agree
Yeah,
with that.
and I don't understand why they
No,
did
you
it.
have to. Yeah.
No, yeah, I could agree with that.
That's really sus.
So, I guess my question is, how do you prove the contrary? Like how do you have people that say, no, this is what happened. Okay, so how do we prove that? How do we go about proving that? Do we just take words for it? Is that how that works?
I mean, they should go into consideration. That's why
I'm
witness
pretty sure,
testimony is a
but I'm
thing.
pretty sure that was because that console was built the grand jury, which was weird because they never do this for that, just to indict someone. They never grab random people to hear out. So this is their own citizens that are making this decision, right? This wasn't the attorney general making this decision. This was a random group of people, of civilians and whoever, who came up with this decision. So
You know how they pick a jury.
sure. So my question is, a lot of things were put into consideration. I'm pretty sure there were testimonies that said the contrary. I'm pretty sure
There was one witness that said that the cops had announced themselves. Everyone else said they didn't.
where was everyone else?
What do
If
you mean?
only one person said they heard it,
The
and I
rest
think
of
that
the
person,
neighbors.
the person who lived next door, and everyone else, do you really think if that was the case, people wouldn't agree with that?
You lost
So
me.
if 20 people said no,
He's
they
talking
didn't
about
announce
as far as like
themselves.
the jury.
Yeah,
Mhm.
if 20 people said no, they didn't announce it, you think the jury is gonna say
I don't know.
no? Only one person said, so we're gonna go with that one.
Mm.
Do you get what I'm
All
saying?
I'm saying, I understand what you're saying.
Well,
I just don't
think
trust what's been
before
said.
witness stuff, you got to go to physical evidence. I'm sure they took apart the scene,
You would hope.
saw the bullet. Well, yeah, I mean, it's part of the job, right?
Right. I mean, it was a 3-month investigation.
Yeah.
That's a long time. I think there are issues. Obviously, I think part of the issue is
Body
You know,
cam is the biggest one.
Yeah.
body cam's a big issue, but I also think allowing people, which is your right to own a firearm, but then having firearms and warrants served are going to be problems regardless of the fact. Because if right now the big thing is if Walker was justified in shooting his firearm, which I think he was. I think he was justified in defending himself, and I think that's a stand your ground type state, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he's fine with defending himself, but you got to understand that you're shooting at someone you're claiming you don't know who was, regardless if it was a police officer or not. There is a repercussion for that. That's my issue with this whole, stand your ground and whatever. I don't remember. I think a long time ago you guys told me and you guys agreed, saying that something like if a cop having his gun out on a traffic stop incites a certain reaction. Right, I think you guys agreed on something like I don't know if we showed that episode, but in this case, it does the same thing. So if you are allowed to stand your ground, vice versa, the other person does too, which in any situation is not going to end well for someone.
Especially not with cops.
You get what I'm
Although
saying?
I don't see cops serving a warrant and not announcing that they're cops. Isn't that the...
I don't really see it
Trust.
either, and then I feel like
That would be
Everyone-
kind of odd, like really odd.
and getting
You
warrants
think it's
is
never happened?
I don't know, and that's the thing. I mean,
How many cops were there? I'm pretty sure
There was
one
three.
shouted police.
there was 3 of them.
There's got to be somebody that says police.
Okay.
No,
I mean,
we don't know.
So then that's also a no-knock state, right? So you can get that warrant, which is a really hard. Getting a warrant to raid someone's property is difficult to begin with. This
so
is
who
it.
are they looking for? in
They
the
were
first
looking.
place?
They were technically looking for evidence against her ex-boyfriend, Glover, or whatever his first name was. I don't remember.
Were they in there to arrest him or to search?
No,
his
they
home?
were there to search the property because the suspicion was that there was a bunch of packages that arrived at her house. That could have been drugs, it could have been money, and she was housing it for him. They found nothing, and I think that's why they paid out the family with like 17 million or whatever. The
12.
number was 12 million. Which I'm cool with that. It's not I'm cool with that. They deserve that. But a warrant is not something you just have a casual conversation over a drink at a bar with a judge. That's not how that works. You need to have a hell of a lot of
Yeah.
evidence and probable cause to be granted one. This isn't like Oh, here you go. Go ahead, knock yourself out. That's not how that works. Especially when it's a no-knock one, which is worse because that is basically, especially depending on the neighborhood. From what I read, that neighborhood's a really bad neighborhood, really gang-infested neighborhood, whatever. That is not going to end pretty 90% of the time.
No.
It's not. I mean, it's just not. You know, so those are dangerous situations that you try to avoid. So if they got that warrant, they probably got it for a reason. Whatever.
And
if it's logical to us or not.
Would be basically for what? To not give them time to escape if they...
But if it was to search the home, why do they need a no-knock warrant?
Sure. I mean, that's up in question. And I think that's one of the things they're bringing up in the actual trial when it actually goes up. What was the point of it? But again, this was signed by a judge. It was done already. That's beyond what happened to her, right? This is why they did it is a different story. But again, that's not something that, here you go, you know, have a good time. Nobody does that. Nobody gets pat on the back for that. You know what I'm saying? I think the evidence points in one direction, and I'm a factual dude, right? I'm all about facts and proof and evidence, and what you can prove is what technically tells the story. And for what the Attorney General put out, and you know what, honestly, even when he was saying it, I felt like he was like, fuck, like you could kind of see it in his face, like, fuck, you know what, this is probably what happened. Like he almost didn't want to say it, like he, you know what I'm saying, like
he wanted the controversy,
like he wanted the opposite, but like, this is what it shows. What can I say? I cannot say anything else but this is what it points to. You get what I'm saying? Like that's what I felt from him. Like he couldn't say anything else because that's what the facts showed, right? I mean, we can't say, people were saying that the police officer who shot got hit by friendly fire. Obviously, that wasn't the case because they pulled a 9mm bullet out of the police officer, and none of the police officers had 9mm weapons. So obviously, it wasn't friendly fire.
Plus, I don't think they were shooting in their own direction.
Well, there was some behind them because only one officer went in. Right? When they breached, the one officer went in first. The one that got shot. He went in by himself first. Then everybody else came in. Right? So I can see maybe there could have been friendly fire if they would have just randomly started shooting the other cops. I can see it. But none of them had 9mm weapons. So obviously that theory is off the table. Right?
Yeah.
There's no way to deny that. Right? So it's not friendly fire. Now, if you shoot at a cop, regardless if you know in your defense or whatever, honestly, what do you think is going to happen and what do you think should happen? John, you first.
It's pretty obvious what's going to happen.
But should that happen? Is it a justified action?
I mean, of course it is. If somebody's shooting at you, you're going to shoot at them. Like, it doesn't even have to do with the whole cop thing, but especially with cops, they're going to shoot back at you. Like, it's kind of their job, right?
Delilah, what do you think? If you don't agree, what do you think would be a better action in that particular sense?
I don't know. But there's a reason why cops have to announce themselves for things like this not to happen, right? So if you don't know, if someone's, for example, coming into my house and I don't know they're a cop, I'm going to shoot them.
Now, should they not be allowed to shoot back?
I don't know. I guess so, yeah, if they're cops. But the thing is, I don't know. I don't know where what's right and what's wrong in that case. Because one person doesn't know you're a cop, but then the cop is like, oh shit, someone's shooting me, so I have to shoot them back. I don't know.
And that's the thing. This is where I'm like, this whole stand your ground thing is crazy because you stand your ground against anyone.
Right.
You're going to get shot back. Mm-hmm. Period. And both of you have equal right.
Right.
Right? And I think that's the only reason why he's not being prosecuted. Which I think, honestly, he should be prosecuted for endangering her because he took the shot. Regardless of why or when or for what reason. Which I think the reason he's not in jail right now is because of the fact they're giving him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't know, quote unquote, because again, we don't know, because this is the he said, excuse me. This is the he said, she said, because he's saying he didn't know. And people are going to say, oh, why would he lie? Right. But the cops are going to say they said it. Why would they lie? So they're both, this is the back and forth. This is the back and forth. But body cams weren't used, so then we have to kind of take that out of the equation. So it's an issue.
Why weren't they?
Sure, but that's not part of the issue in this sense.
I'd say that
we're past that
if
point.
There was
already happened.
any type of proof that the cops went in and announced themselves, and then he started shooting after the fact, and then he should get prosecuted.
But he claimed himself that he shot first. He said
he didn't know they were cops.
Okay, but then
you're allowed to shoot if somebody's barging into your house.
So let's forget that they're cops. They fired back. So then now who's the guilty party here? So they both defended themselves. Right? One of them was legally able to break into a house. Was legally able to do this.
There's a difference if it's a cop or if it's somebody just
some
fine,
random
person robbing you.
It's still the same thing. So the cop has the right to defend himself. Right?
100%.
Okay. So they broke into a house.
But you can't say it's the same thing. If it's a robber, you don't have...
But it wasn't a robbery.
I get that, but you're saying it's kind of the same
thing. No,
I
never said robbery. I said even if they broke into a house legally, because they legally were allowed to do this.
The cops.
Yes.
Of course.
They were legally allowed to do this. So let's put that out of the equation for a second.
Okay.
So he fired at a cop because he was defending himself, right? And the cops fired back because they were defending themselves.
Yeah.
Who's guilty now? And how do we go about determining who's guilty?
Well, you got to have proof that he knew it was the cops barging into the house.
Okay, so we can't do that because we don't have body cam and we don't have audio of anything.
Therein lies the problem.
Okay, so then now let's go with who has more evidence or more proof to do something. So did the cops have proof and authority to break into that house?
Well, they obviously had authority. The proof is I don't see a cop barging into your house without saying police.
But beyond that, I'm not talking about what possibly could have happened. No.
That is important.
But what is possible is not proof. What you think happened is not proof. I'm talking about what can we use to determine who is more correct in the situation. Okay, so he's using his reasoning that someone was trying to break into his house. Now we can't prove that he heard not or didn't hear something, right? We can't prove that, right? But what we do have proof of is that the police had authority and permission to break into this house, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that was on a scale, where's the scale leaning towards? Towards police, because they have an actual reason to be there and do something, correct? He is claiming that he heard or didn't hear in a state where no knock means that they can just go in. They don't have to announce themselves.
That's a problem.
Sure, but that's a problem with the state.
I don't think that's what it means.
And yes, what do you think no knock means? No knock means they don't have to actually knock and announce themselves.
No. I think no knock means that...
Do you think they're
not going to knock on the door and say, hey, can you let us in? They're going to barge in the house without your consent.
They do not have to announce themselves.
You have to announce yourself.
I don't think you do.
Do you think Osama bin Laden got an announcement call when they came to get him?
That's a different story.
Why? Doesn't he have human rights?
Well, that was a different country. First of all,
whatever.
I don't know what the laws in Pakistan are. But I'm pretty sure
from what I read and what I understand, a no-knock warrant means that there has to be no alert of you guys going in there. After the fact, and you arrest someone, you
have to say who you are. Else, obviously, you're going to get shot.
What do you think the warrant paper information has?
Then everything goes out the window, Michael.
Why? What do you mean, why?
Because if
somebody's
coming into my house, cop or not, if you don't say you're a cop, then I'm shooting at you.
Correct. And that's the issue. But my point is, a no-knock warrant.
What the fuck can I say?
A no-knock warrant. He is right. I'm not saying he is wrong. I don't think anyone has ever said that Walker was not defending himself. I'm not saying that.
I thought it was just, okay, they're not going to knock and say, hey, can we come in? They're going to barge in. But
you get that information after the fact.
But as they're doing that, They announce themselves. Hey,
No.
police.
No.
Bam.
They don't.
We're in.
No, because what if they're in a basement? The whole point is this: it's a sneak attack. The whole point is it's supposed to be a surprise,
Well,
right?
then
So if you're in a basement and you break in the door without knocking, and then you say, "Hey, it's the cops," it's the same thing as like knocking.
Well, and the only surprise there is I'm surprised that cops don't get shot more.
I
than
agree
what
with
they
you.
do.
I agree with you. But my point is, I'm not saying he is wrong for shooting, right? If he felt threatened in a state that allows you to carry a gun, and he legally had that gun, which he did, which means he obviously wasn't a bad person because you can't have a gun without, you're not going to get it without having, if you have felonies and shit. Mm-hmm. That's fine. I get it. He defended himself, but he shot at someone. Okay. So that person, whoever it may be, cop or not, has the right to shoot back. Okay. So this washes out this whole concept. This was a bad situation for a certain individual, and she was caught in the crossfire, which I think is odd that somebody said, I was watching somebody was like, I wonder if Walker used her like as a human shield, because it's hilarious that she got shot 6 times and he didn't get shot once.
I told you he was going to say something. It's not hilarious.
No, it's not hilarious. It's stupid, but it's just like, how in the world does that happen logically?
I don't know.
If they're in the same vicinity, because according to the testimony, they were both at the end of a hallway when they were both identified by the police officer. How the hell does he not get shot once? How many shots did they take? 16? Something like that? 16 or 12? Something like that?
I don't know.
That's ridiculous. Now, there is an issue. Yes. Should there be no-knock warrants? Maybe not.
No.
Maybe not. I think they're necessary for certain situations, because if not, then we wouldn't have Osama bin Laden. We wouldn't have certain situations where it requires that a surprise attack. Don't tell me that there's no situation where that would not be.
No, there isn't.
You're nuts. Are you telling me if there's a mass murderer in a house,
if
you want to let him know that you're coming in?
If you know people are not going to be in the house, then a no-knock warrant is good.
Where a no-knock warrant is to be served.
Extreme situations.
Okay? Extreme situations are 100% acceptable, because if you had pedophiles or whatever,
yep,
and you needed to get them quickly and efficiently,
you can.
Please enlighten me on how
if you're
telling them is going to make a difference.
How it is. If you ram the door and then flood the house with 15 cops.
Well, you can't flood a house with 15 cops when
can.
there's one door and 15 people do not fit through it at the same time. But continue.
It's organized.
This isn't a movie. They're not going to swing off helicopters into the windows.
I've seen it on cops. Come on.
It's not going to happen that way. CPD is not going to do that.
You have to announce yourself.
You do not have to announce
you
yourself.
do.
No, you don't.
Okay,
that's what the law states.
Then anytime this happens, a no-knock
it's
warrant
going to end ugly.
And somebody shoots at a cop, they're going to be justified. Because
Correct.
they can always say, "Oh, I didn't know who
That's
that guy
correct.
was." Okay.
No one is
well,
saying
there's
that.
always going to be a problem.
Correct. That's correct.
And
there
you're
is
saying
always
this
going
is
to
a
be a
good
problem.
thing?
Because I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm saying it's a necessary thing. In certain situations, it is a necessary thing.
Bro,
Loss of life is sometimes necessary for certain situations.
You heard it here first.
If Osama bin Laden
took
a bullet to the head with a no-knock warrant, am I correct? Am I correct?
One of the helicopters crashed. They knew they were there. Did you watch the movie?
Am I correct?
In what?
Was he shot? Was his life taken necessarily? Was it necessary for him to die?
Not due to a no-knock warrant. That was in Pakistan.
You're avoiding my question, bro. Was it necessary?
No.
You don't think he deserved to die, or it was necessary
Yeah, he
for him
deserved
to
to die.
Why? Because they
at
were
least
shooting.
knocked on
Because
his door beforehand.
his brothers, and all that shit started shooting at the cops, and they went ham and took everybody out. Okay? So in certain situations, it is necessary. Okay? And if there is a loss of life, okay, in something that is being done for the greater good, right? And I'm not using Breonna Taylor's example. I'm saying in general.
I would hope not, because this wasn't an extreme case.
Right.
Like
correct. And that's the issue. But we're talking about, do we need no-knock warrants? If the loss of life is for the greater good, I'm sorry, but that is what's necessary. Okay? You take one life to save others, multiple lives, it outweighs it.
Let me play out a scenario here. You're a drug dealer or
On TV,
what have you.
Period.
Yeah. Not yet.
Send that yayo.
I've played drug dealers already.
No. In real life?
Nope.
Yeah.
I know better.
Okay, so you're a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the living room, or let's say the kitchen.
Uh-huh.
You hear police, and then you hear somebody knock down your door. What exactly do you have time to do? Your life is going to be flashing.
Correct.
Okay?
Okay.
So
is
you
that
have
every
no
situation?
time-
So is every situation a living room perfectly positioned in the right spot?
Well, not everybody lives in a Resident Evil mansion.
Correct.
Where you have 25
You are
rooms and
100%
shit.
correct. So, to be general, to cover every base, right? You have to react a certain way. And when you say a no-knock warrant, is to help you in case that person isn't right in front of you. If he's hiding in a basement and that's the last room you check, he's already had 20 minutes to load up his arsenal. And let me tell you, some people have a lot of guns. My cousin has a shit ton of guns in his garage, and if you give him 20 minutes, he's taking out 20 cops. Do you get what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying.
I
Yes,
hope he has
in
them legally, 'cause
an
if somebody
ideal
hears
situation,
Yeah.
situation, if someone's sitting around watching an NBA game, and you say, "Boom, police," cool. They don't have no time to do anything, right? But if they break in through my front door,
Yeah.
and my room's in this basement, I have hell of enough time to grab my gun, and I'm gonna take out the first person that's gonna come out through this doorway. I'm gonna have enough time to do that.
But
if a
wouldn't
cop
it be the
comes
same
in,
thing if you hear somebody sneaking in your house? You're gonna grab a gun and shoot them too. So
sure,
what's the difference?
but there's a reason. There's a reason for it, John.
Not to
Granted, I don't think it should be used in every aspect. Do I think it should be used for people that are selling marijuana? No, that's stupid. That's dumb. That is dumb. In her case, should they have used a no-knock warrant? No, but they didn't execute that anyways, which is what's kind of weird about it. So they asked for a no-knock, but they knocked. Right?
Maybe.
So, and maybe, because we have one person saying they did and one person saying they didn't. So,
And nobody can.
and no body cam. So, now what if the body cam would have showed it? Would you still be looking for an excuse?
I mean, if the body cam showed it, then
I still feel like
nothing to
people.
say.
I still feel like people would be like,
If
"Oh,
the
Steven,
body
they hired
cam-
Steven Spielberg to adjust that shit." I swear, I feel like
I will
people
always
just
have
love.
a healthy skepticism to whatever the government says. But if the video cam literally shows a cop and the guy's right there and he's like, "I'm a cop,"
Was
and he shoots him, then
was 9/11 an inside job? Did we actually land on the moon? No.
no, there are no stars.
Jeez.
There's wind. The flag moves.
Are there aliens in Area 51? Yeah, of course there are.
But back to Brianna's thing. I think society, and I know it sucks, right? Because this is what there's a popular idea right now, right? There is something what the youngsters would say is trending, right? And it's this movement and this idea of cops are against black people, right? There's this idea. And I won't say that it's not 100% accurate, right? Because there is issues. But in this case, I don't see racism in this case. I don't know if you guys do. I don't see racism in this case because they were serving a warrant. It wasn't like they picked her and they said, "Oh, we're going to go kill her." I don't think anybody said that. I think she got caught in the crossfire, right? And unfortunately, she died. She wasn't murdered because there was no intent to shoot her. There was no intent to kill her. The intent was to protect themselves.
Yeah.
You get what I'm
So
saying?
then it's
I
manslaughter.
agree.
And then, like, the lawyer, her lawyer needs to find a new profession because what he claimed happened is so off base. I'm surprised even the family still has them as their console.
What did he
because
say?
he was saying that they were shooting through the windows and all this craziness, that she was sleeping in bed, and that obviously was not the case. So how do we believe someone, right? And this is why he's actually making it worse for her side, because he's been proven that he's lying about certain things.
Yeah.
So now how do we believe anything that comes out of that console or out of that side? You get what I'm saying? When the console is sworn in to tell the truth, and yet you're not doing it. You get what I'm saying? But again, this all happened in what, April or March, whatever. And everyone jumps the gun. And this is my issue with people, man. Like, we need to stop and look at a picture, a complete picture, not this, you know? Like, Floyd to me is a case that's similar, where it's like we saw the first footage that came out and everybody said, oh, this is this. Then later on, months later, when footage comes out of body cams, it didn't show that as much. Or it showed it, huh?
And you can wait to tell us that we were wrong.
No, I'm just saying, in certain situations, there's a lot of things. Look, right now, I think yesterday or the day before, some black police officer tased some white girl at a game because she didn't, at a football game, because she didn't want to wear her mask. Is that racism?
No.
Why? I'm not saying it is. I'm just.
Because black cops don't have a history of persecuting white women.
But is racism? How do we know he's not racist? Just because the record shows that technically black people are not racist against white people? What if he is? How do we know that? How do we prove that? We can't. Right? So, my issue with what happened yesterday, well, with that situation. So, apparently the lady refused to wear her mask. Right? The police officer asked her again and again and again and again. Then he physically tried to remove her. She fought. She got tased. She calmed down. They walked her out. No problem, right? Problem, but no problem. People were writing stuff like, oh, but how come she didn't get shot? Why is she still walking when Blake isn't walking? Right?
It's two different cases.
Yes. And everyone seems to put these two things together. Like, there is a huge difference, and it's not a racial difference. It's not a racial difference. It's not. Because the lady got tased. She calmed down. She put on cuffs and walked away with the police officer. Okay? Blake didn't do that. Blake got tased, got back up, and walked to his vehicle to grab whatever, drive away, check on his kids, whatever it may be. Two different things. Does he deserve to get shot? What did he get shot? 7 times?
Yeah.
Nah, 7 times as much. Should something have been done? Absolutely. But those are two different situations that are not tied. But people,
the taser didn't work on him or something.
yeah, it didn't work on him. Even that white girl got up pretty quick. Like, she got tased. Like, you can see it in the video. But like 2 minutes later, she was already trying to get back up, and then they cuffed her and off they went. Right, but she didn't physically fight or push the guy off and tried to walk away and get into her car and do whatever. Right, and if that was to happen, and she would have got shot, you get no sympathy from me because you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? It's so easy. If we just listen to them, it's just so easy, and you wouldn't have problems.
It's unfortunate. Like I said, I think like 2 weeks ago, there's 350 million people in America. So every other week, something like this is gonna happen. So I mean, I don't know.
I'm the type that, like, we say, cops are bad and cops are bad. I'm like, being a cop ain't easy. I have a lot of friends that are in the force, and I got a friend that's trying to get into the force, and I ask him, why the fuck do you want to get into the force?
Yeah, I would not.
And that confuses me. But again, this isn't a job that's. What the fuck are you guys laughing?
I'm surprised your sister. You didn't hear her.
No, I heard her.
Oh.
I'm trying to zone her out.
Oh, you're a professional. Go ahead. Yeah.
I don't know why anyone would be a cop right now.
Me either.
And You know what I'm saying? And then again, then this whole idea of, taking money. And I got into an argument with somebody about that. Not you, but somebody else about, we need to, what's the word that they're using? Defund the police. And then he tried to explain to me how, no, it wouldn't be defunding their payrolls. It would be defunding like their pensions and this and that. I'm going to tell you something. No company is going to start taking money from the top. That's not how that works. They start taking money from the bottom. So anyone coming in is going to make less money. That's just how it's going to work. It's not going to be, we're going to take pensions. It's not going to work that way. We're just going to cut every rookie's. Do you know that the average Chicago police officer makes $65,000 starting?
Goddamn.
$65,000. You think $65,000 is enough money to take bullets?
No.
Well, when you punch in, it's a 50-50 chance you go home.
Oh, she's just trying to get out of Lowe's. She'll take
Go
anything.
like this on that side. You got an eyelash. More.
Why are you doing this right now?
You're fine. It's just an eyelash. You're fine.
Still
There you
there.
go.
It's
You got it. You got it. It's all right.
It's hanging on. Like,
It's all right.
It's hanging on like Stallone on in Cliffhanger.
Oh God. But I don't know. I wouldn't take $65,000 to have a 50-50 chance of coming home every night.
No. It's not
I wouldn't.
worth,
And then we're saying we need to cut that. Right? We want to cut that. So let's say it's 10%. So now they're making less than 50 or about 50. Let's just say they make 50 now. Everybody's okay with $50,000. Who the hell is going to take that job?
The point of it would be that if you take the money and put it back into the communities, there'd be less crime.
Okay.
There'd be less
And how many years would you say that would take?
A long ass time.
Okay, so now you have less cops for all that long ass time. So then what do we do when we have crime? Are we okay with not sending in police? Because that's what's going to happen. So when you call 911, you might get a busy tone because they can't afford to pay the bill.
Didn't Alyssa Milano? She's big on that, right? Defunding the police, and she called the cops.
Oh yeah, I read something like that. Yeah, well there you go. The next time you call them, they might not answer. It's one of those things, and then we're expecting police officers to literally risk their lives for us, for a certain amount of money, because it's a job, right? It's a job. I'll tell you right now, if they hired me as a cop for that, where are we going? Okay, I'll meet you there. I would be leading. And they wouldn't even fire me because there's no cops. I'll be leading in write-ups though. How come you didn't go to that? You didn't stop that robbery. He ran too fast. I didn't see him. No, hell, you think I'm gonna take bullets? You fucking crazy. But to tie a bow on Brianna's thing, I think what the Attorney General said is the best explanation we have. Is it correct? And everybody's gonna say it could be wrong. Yes, it could be wrong. It could be wrong. But this is what the evidence that we have currently, this is the story that it tells. And until something else comes up that will change that story,
gotta go with it.
this is our best of what we know happened. Because we can't take rumor and innuendo as a consideration of fact and proof and evidence, right? It's like how I feel about religion, for example, right?
There we go.
It's just I'm just comparing.
He always has to bring up religion.
I'm just comparing because it's the same thing for me. You believe something that you have no evidence for, but the evidence points to something, but you're claiming this is incorrect. And in Brianna's case,
what does your evidence point to?
Points that Big Bang, everything came from. Yes, that's what the evidence points to. That's what the evidence points to, bro.
Okay.
You don't believe in the Big Bang?
No, he doesn't. He's a Christian.
But couldn't Christians,
that would be anti-religious.
Couldn't Christians believe that God?
Of course
made
they can, because there's a million denominations that
saying,
believe different things. So I'm pretty sure there's one of them.
So you don't believe in the Big Bang?
I guess, yes, I do, but I don't think it was just like some explosion that happened.
Do you think it was like how Family Guy portrayed it, where it's God and his roommate, whatever, and God's trying to throw a fart, and he's like, "Oh, let me get your lighter here." And the universe comes out of his ass, and then he goes, "You smell that?"
I mean, it's better than your theory.
Okay,
but,
sure. Again,
I don't know.
Okay, let me finish, and then we'll go talk about the Big Bang. Again, until evidence is proven that will change what we currently have, we have to accept what is there, because that's technically the truth. Because you cannot prove anything other than that. That's my point. It's like what I mean about religion. So it's like, you can tell me all you want that Allah is God. You can tell me all you want. You can swear to me up and down, tell me this and that. Muhammad and his son, or John Smith, whatever, from the Mormons or whatever. You can swear to me up and down and tell me how that's real, right? But unless you have proof and evidence that you can demonstrate, you have nothing. All you have is your own.
Well, I can say the same thing about you. Like, you have no evidence about how life got started. So
correct, but science doesn't claim that. You do.
So what does science claim?
Science claims that we have the best idea of how things came, but that's why science changes. Does religion change? Does religion adapt to everything we find nowadays?
No. So maybe we should listen to the thing that doesn't change instead of the thing that changes every 3 minutes.
So maybe we should have slaves, right? Because the
What?
Bible claims we can have slaves, right?
No.
What else does the Bible claim, Mike?
Claims a lot of shit.
No,
Sure you want to go that route?
Yeah,
though?
let's go
You
that
wanna
route. No, let's go that route. Let's go that route.
We've been there before.
I know
Tell
who you
us.
listen to, and there's
Matt
a
Dillahunty?
video.
Who do you-
Yeah, that I
Yeah,
just saw
that
that.
guy.
Okay, hold on.
He's
No, I know what.
fighting
So,
with
hold
another guy.
on. But he's gonna claim, because we have a mutual friend who
I'm not
posted this
claiming
video.
anything.
Who posted this video, and he wrote down, because Matt Dillahunty is tricking people, and this is the one time he gets owned, right?
Yeah.
So one time,
What did he
because
get owned
Mr. Slick, because that's his actual name, I forget his first name, something Slick. He actually had a point. Out of like 30 times that they have debated, he had 1 point,
Which was
and
wrong.
I forgot what it was, but it made sense. Sure, he put him in a corner. He put Matt in a corner. Cool. Congratulations,
Toma.
you got one thing out of 100 correct.
Yeah. One thing.
Yikes.
You can take that victory as much as you want, but
I will.
you still get owned amazingly
I don't get old.
because
at all.
you have no proof. A lack of proof is what you have. You have your idea and what you think is true,
What?
and that's it. But
That's
that
all
means
anybody
nothing.
has. You have ideas.
Sure, but we have it based
that's
on
it.
facts. We have it based on evidence.
Wait, you just said science changes all the time. So
Correct.
how could it be fact if it changes all the
Okay,
time?
so-
Facts don't change.
Okay, so the age of the Earth. Okay,
Uh-huh.
do you think we have a roughly good idea
See.
of how old it is?
Yeah.
Okay, how do you think we get that?
Through carbon dating, maybe.
Uh-huh. Okay,
Yeah.
so did we have carbon dating 100 years ago? 200 years ago?
Sure. No.
Turn off the mic. Holy shit. Dude, what I mean by it, science has facts. So like we would say, did dinosaurs exist? Yes, of course they fucking existed because we have a dinosaur bone. Do we know where fucking dinosaurs came from? No, we're not there yet. We don't know when they started or how they started. We don't know that. We don't know how the universe came to be. We have ideas, which is based on what we've seen, which is proof of what we think is going on.
Okay.
Religion doesn't do that. Religion just says, here's the I Dream a Genie woman, and she goes, ding, there's Jesus. Ding, there's Adam and Eve. Ding, there's a talking snake. Ding, there's an apple or whatever the hell it was. And ding, there's a leaf covering his penis.
They were naked. There's no.
Well, after the fact, because then they became shameful, right? Because of sin
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, I know the story. I've heard it before. I've seen it in the movies
It's
too.
like the shame you feel.
It's like a comic book.
Or you should.
Listen, My point is, religion doesn't have facts. It doesn't have proof. It has a story and people following that story and believe it wholeheartedly, which is fine. Which is 100% fine.
Science
But it doesn't mean it's the
too,
truth.
It's the same thing. You have stories. You have an idea of what might be going on.
Okay. I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
Just said they
I'll
changed.
Correct.
Facts.
Do you know
they're
why
facts,
they changed?
but they changed.
Do you know why they changed?
I don't know how.
Do you know why they
changed?
changed? Because we discover new things. We discover new things. Do you remember when we were kids and it was 9 planets, right? And then it became 8 planets because later on they discovered that Pluto was so small it was not considered a planet.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that? That's called learning something new, exploring, actually seeing something and changing based on those facts. That's the beauty of science, bro. That's the beauty of
facts. Facts don't change.
What do you mean they don't change? Are you kidding me? What facts? Give me. Well, there are facts that don't change. I agree. I could agree with that. Like
No,
gravity
anything
doesn't
that
change.
is a fact should not change.
Why not?
Because it should be something that's already proven that it's real. that
Okay.
exists.
Okay. So
how can it just change?
I got this.
Go
So
ahead.
one day the sun is gonna cease to exist. Correct? It's gonna be no more. So should we
Yeah.
just continue to say the sun exists because it was fact that it was there? No, we're gonna change that.
That doesn't make any sense
No,
whatsoever.
we're going to change our fact and say, you know what? It existed and now it doesn't anymore because obviously we can see it doesn't. Like we at one point in our lives thought that there was only X amount of planets because we never saw past that point. Was that fact at that point? Was it fact? And we could
No.
only see 9 planets.
It was never fact.
It was
It was
fact.
never a real thing.
That 9 planets existed?
Facts are real.
So 9 planets don't exist.
That was not a fact.
What?
Did 9 planets ever exist? Ever really exist? No.
Yes.
No,
What do you
because
mean? It
Pluto
always
was never
existed.
a planet. They just discovered that Pluto is not a planet now. But that doesn't
Just so
make
you can feel a little weirder, but you do know that we as human beings determine what is considered a planet, right? So it could be a planet in itself, but we still determine if it's a planet or not. You know that, right? Like it's just a terminology thing. You're a little.
It cannot be fact and then change into something different.
Yes, it can.
No, that's not a fact. Read the definition of a fact.
Look it up.
Okay.
Listen, what I am saying, science adapts and gives us the best factual information to date. And that changes with time because we find out more every day.
The definition is a thing that is known or proven to be true.
Okay, there you go. So if it's something that's proven to be true, so if we have 9 planets, at one point that was fact because that's all we knew, correct? So then we found out, guess what? There are millions of more planets anymore. So now we change that fact because now we know better. So with knowledge, we can change fact.
I'll give you an example. If there was a gun right here and you said I shot it and that was a fact, but I never shot it, can we go back and say, oh, we changed it, it's not a fact, but back then it was a fact, so I shot the gun, but now I didn't shoot the gun, and it doesn't make
Can
sense.
you just shoot the gun in my head right now? I don't know what the fuck you were trying to get to.
Boy, how I wish.
Listen. When it comes to science, science gives us facts to date, because everything changes. Everything changes. We find out more, we learn more, we see more. It's the truth. I mean, 10 years ago, in the last 20 years, NASA and science have found more planets ever in history.
Okay.
So all of this is new. And what do you think is going to happen in 20 more years? We're going to get closer to them and we're going to see what's going on in them. We're going to find out more about all these different planets and all this stuff. And we're going to have to readjust what we know. The day we find life on a different planet, guess what? We're going to have to change. The fact that maybe you Christians like to believe that there's no life anywhere else but here.
You don't believe in aliens?
He's Christian. No, of course not.
What?
Bro.
Do you understand that
Do
this
you?
world,
Yes.
do you understand that this world, according to Christianity, was specifically just made for us? Everything was made for us.
But why can't that be true, but also that there are aliens?
Because we are, if you look at the grand scope, we are irrelevant. Because if this world ceases to listen, and we're relevant to us as human beings, each other, we mean something to us, but we don't mean anything to the universe. If this planet didn't exist, the universe would keep going. Nothing would happen. The Earth, if humans disappeared, the Earth would go back to nature, and whatever happened to the planet would still be here. Whatever, the sun would explode in X amount of years. Whatever happened, all of that would continue to keep going. We affect the universe minutely.
That's so sad.
But we are important to each other because we are social creatures. Right? We want this idea that yes, we are important to the universe and blah blah blah. That's not true. I mean, think about it. In a week, I think a piece of rock is going to fly right by us, like probably closer than some of the satellites are in orbit. If that rock hit us and destroyed us all, obviously we don't mean shit to the universe because why the hell would it destroy us? We don't mean shit to a God because he fucking let us get hit by a rock. Which obviously isn't, and it's also not, and it's also not, we have been hit by rocks, by the way. But it also hasn't, that's not in the Bible, so who knows?
Nope.
It's not like the Bible says how God's going to kill us all, right?
Oh.
In the end, it doesn't even matter. Again, facts can change, bro. That's just
no. That's my thing. Facts don't change.
They do change.
Is it a fact right now that there is no life on other planets?
That we know of.
Is that a fact?
Is it a fact that we know of? Yes, that we know of. There's no life. That we as humans know of. Is there life out there? We don't know.
So if we find aliens on another planet, was that fact ever actually real?
At the time it was. For us. But remember,
but it was never actually real.
Correct. And that's why we adapt and adjust. And we change it. It's like laws. Laws we adapt and change.
Period.
That's what we do. We change according to the information.
I don't know. You're confused. No. Like I've told you this before. We've got some of the smartest people like in the world right now that can't even begin to tell you how life started.
And
so
those are the smartest people in the world, and you want me to read a book, the good book, and you think all that information's there. But the smartest men on the planet,
if they can't tell you, then what the hell? Like, tell me where life got started.
Because you don't know.
Okay,
you do know.
So anybody's idea about how life got started or how this all got started is
irrelevant?
No, it's not irrelevant. It's
valid.
It could be valid. Yeah, valid.
You're right. It can be, but it also could be a fallacy. That's my point.
And
it
who
can
are
be
you
either or.
To say that anybody's
no one.
wrong?
But you know what the difference is? Prove at least some of it. That we're in a way that makes sense.
Well, like
and then we can have a conversation. But until that point...
Okay, I'm right there with you. Okay,
so then show me some proof of something, of anything.
You show me proof. Have the smartest people in the world tell
Look
me
at all the planets
where
we've
life
discovered. No one knows, John. That's the thing.
Okay, until they know, they can't talk to me about how life got started. Whether it was God, Big Bang.
You tell me how life got started.
Read the Bible.
Prove it. Prove it.
Read the Bible. The proof.
I have. I
doubt that.
You think
You see videos of people who read the Bible. You haven't read the Bible.
You think I have not read that book? Is that what you think?
I'm positive you haven't.
Cut him off. Say it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what you think.
Oh, don't bring rock into it.
Listen.
I hate him so much.
There is not an ounce of logical sense in how the creation story was written.
So give me another one.
The Big Bang makes more sense.
Tell me about how life got started. Something. Anything.
So you don't
give me
think
something relevant.
You don't think that cells multiplied.
Sense.
You don't think that cells multiply because cells don't multiply, right? Obviously they don't, right? They don't. Do cells multiply?
Cells multiply.
Okay, so if you had a cell multiply over billions of years, you don't think nothing would come out from it?
I mean,
I'm not saying you're gonna have a human. You don't
Where-
think nothing would have came out from it?
where'd the cell come from?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I'll let you know when they figure it out.
Okay.
But until then, they don't claim that they know. You do. So now prove your theory.
And my claim is as good as anybody
No,
else.
it's not.
Any
It's not the same
scientist?
thing.
Why
It's not? the same
not?
thing. Because they're not claiming that they know. You are. You're claiming that you
And
know
my
the original
claim is
of,
as good as anybody else's.
but
is
they're
what I'm
not
saying.
claiming anything. They're claiming we
They're-
don't know.
They're throwing ideas out there.
Sure, but they're not saying this is the end all
There was
be all.
a warm
You
puddle
are.
of semen and something happened
Correct,
there.
correct,
And
but they're-
amino acids and this and
But
that.
they're not
and life got
claiming.
started.
They're not claiming they're 100% correct. They will never say that. You do. You say you know 100% fact how it started.
And
Prove
that,
it.
And that claim is as good as anybody's.
It's not a claim. But you're claiming it's 100%. Science isn't claiming that. Science isn't claim. Science is not claiming they are 100% correct.
But science wants to say, oh, it's 100% untrue
What's 100% untrue?
that there is no God.
It
There
is.
nothing, anything
It
like
is.
that.
Prove it. We
But
can
how,
prove
how
it.
can you say it's 100% if you don't even know?
We can prove it because
Who's
there's
we?
no science can prove that.
Does he got
Science-
a degree in science?
Listen.
Who's we?
It's simple. Anything in the Bible is easily proven. False. Easily. Look into history.
Yeah, because you didn't have a Snapchat back in the 3000
Is that my
BC
problem?
where you could record
Listen,
everything.
is it my problem? God wasn't smart enough to invent this shit in Moses'
God,
time.
You're going to hell
Oh,
so
he said
hard.
God wasn't smart. Oh my
Is it my fault? Is it my fault?
Hey,
Is it my fault? It's not my fault that Steve Jobs invented this shit, right? Or invented an iPhone, right?
no.
And he couldn't give it to Moses and give him GPS so he wouldn't fucking be lost in a desert for how many years?
It was a punishment.
Awesome.
You do know that, right?
Awesome.
I thought you read the
Awesome.
book
Punishment for whom? For Moses?
for the Jewish people.
So Moses had to suffer because of that, and he was a godly person. That sounds fair to me.
Don't you read the Bible?
Sure, and I get but what were they being punished because they didn't want to?
No,
They didn't.
Why are you
they-
asking me?
I'm
You're the
gonna
one that reads the
explain it.
Bible.
I'm
You're
going
the
to
one that
explain it.
read the
So
whole
they're
thing.
being punished because they believed in other gods, right? They didn't want to believe in the one true God. Correct?
They started praying to false idols. Yes.
Is that not what I just said? Okay, so for God being selfish, right? For himself, he punishes people. That makes so much sense because I want to be part of a group.
That should have you worried.
I want to be part of a group where I have to be a cheerleader for a certain individual to be accepted.
It's not about cheerleading.
Because
Hey,
that's what you're gonna do in heaven,
No,
my friend.
I'm saying
If
believe.
you really want to go to heaven,
believe
put on your
what you wanna
pom poms.
Believe.
Because that's what you're gonna do.
Good thing. Good thing for you.
J-E-S-U-S.
Good thing for you.
Well, I'm gonna be in hell dancing
I
to Bad
believe.
Bunny.
I believe. I believe everybody's going to heaven. I believe everybody's going to heaven.
Listen,
You're gonna be right there with me, my friend.
religion.
Aw.
Listen, religion is okay. You can believe it. Hey, believe whatever you want. My thing with religion is you claim to know something. I don't claim to know anything. I claim that science is the most accurate thing we have. By accurate, meaning it can be wrong. You guys don't do that. If a religious person was to tell me, hey, you know what? We might be wrong. Does anybody say that?
No.
Why? Because they think they know exactly what is true, but they don't.
But why do you? What's your big disdain for
It's
that?
not true.
Like, how do you know though? Like you yourself have no idea how life got started. So how could you
Correct,
tell
but
anybody
I also don't.
else
I also
it's
don't
not
claim
true,
that.
it's
I also
not
don't
true?
claim that. I also don't claim
But if
that.
people believe that, why not let them believe that?
You could. No one stops them. This is a free country.
But it's almost like you don't want them to believe that.
Because
Am I right or am I wrong?
He does
I
have a
prefer-
strong
He has
bias
this-
Because
against
I prefer
religion.
people believe more true things than false things.
But what's true? You said science doesn't know how life got started.
Correct. But we
Okay.
know a good amount of it.
So I mean,
and it's based in
a
fact.
scientist could come out and tell you, "Oh yeah, the life got started when."
If the Bible told you the sky
and
was,
say something crazy.
if the Bible said that the
portal opened up from another dimension and things flew in here,
and if they had proof of it, then we have to believe it, my friend, because they have proof of it.
My thing is, you're be like, claiming, okay, I don't think that's true, but you wouldn't go as hard as you do on religion.
I would definitely go as hard on anything that isn't proven. That
Lies.
isn't proven.
You do go really hard on religion.
Because I grew up in it, because I know the most of it.
But there's a bias there.
Of course, because I know that religion. I know it. I grew up in it. So I know a lot about it. Listen, if in the Bible it said the sky was yellow, canary yellow specifically, and you look up at the sky, you're going to say it's canary yellow? You probably would.
No.
Would you stop believing at that point?
Yeah, because it's not true. But
There's a bunch of that right in the Bible right now, bro. You shouldn't believe, bro.
Yellow.
There's a lot of stuff in the Bible you probably shouldn't believe. I'm just telling you. Listen, believe what you want to believe. That's fine.
Are you sure
but
it's fine? Is it fine with you?
I don't give a shit.
I
don't, because if I was the case, and this is kind of what I told you, like about your friends. Like, I mean, I didn't mean to be insulting, but when we pick and choose friends, you care more about equal mentalities than I do. Because if that was the case, my best friend's a Christian. I'm not. 90% of the people I know who are my friends are Christians. I am not. I am a minority with my friends when it comes to what I believe in. And I'm still friends with them. So it works. I don't care what you believe in. You can believe in whatever you want. You can believe Puerto Ricans are the worst.
But in the back of your head, you're like, these dumbasses.
Sure, and they're probably saying the same thing about me. And that's fine. But my end question always is, prove it. And if you cannot prove it, then we can't have a conversation about this. Unless you come up to me and say, look, this is proven fact. And you have this idea. I think a lot of people listen.
Nobody can have a conversation then, because nobody can prove anything.
I feel like a lot of people in religion have this idea that science is out to destroy Christianity.
I don't believe that for a second.
I don't think anybody cares if Christianity exists or not, especially in the science community. We care about what's true and what's fact. Because I believe in science. I believe in that. That's what it is. This world wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for science.
I wouldn't say science. Nature?
You think computers are nature? That's a different topic. All right. That was enough tobacco for today.
Good job, boys. Good job.
And Delilah, I'll let you take us out. Thanks for listening.
Comment
and subscribe.
This
Gotta
is
dash.
All
in our opinion.
This is all in our opinion. And if you don't like it, I got 3 words for you. Thanks for listening.
That was tragic.